I know what you may be thinking. Moody, you haven't covered a virus in a while. Woo-hoo-hoo, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I would disagree. Some of the shit that we've covered in the past weeks has definitely been that of a virus category. But ladies and gentlemen, quite being literal over here, this is the malware category once again. Now, this is a little darker tale. So we talked about YouTube channels being hijacked through email earlier this week. And while that was a dark moment, right, where people fell for email scams and it got their channels hijacked. This is one that's a little more nefarious. Now, ladies and gentlemen, most of you know that for YouTubers, sponsorships are a big deal. But how do you gauge the right sponsorship or the wrong sponsorship? Well, it's not even as simple as that anymore. Sometimes you can get a sponsorship that's just downright not only sketchy, but also malicious towards the person themselves. In the advent of a bit of money, you may come across your entire channel being hijacked by a rogue element. Now, here I actually have a Twitter account from New Guy 2020, or Vito Giswaldi, all right? So this is a warning to all YouTubers. A fake company called NextZ is approaching people offering to pay for a review of their streaming software. In reality, their software captures your login information, giving them control of your channel, which they then fill with Bitcoin ads. Of course, we've noticed that this is a big deal. But let's open up some of these Twitter links and just kind of understand what we're looking at. Hi, my name is Ed. Hi, Ed. I am a representative of the team NextZ. It is a high-performance HD recording, smooth, easy streaming, save highlights as you play. NextZ is the easiest way to record and share high-quality gameplay videos. Amazing and live streams with your friends. Friends.us. Wow, was that so fucking hard? Just pulled off an amazing stunt. NextZ DVR style instant replay. You get the fucking idea, okay? Obviously with a spelling mistake like that, there's no way this is kind of one of those legit services. I could look at this email once and realize, okay, first of all, it's not only messed up, but it's also being sent to me at 2 in the morning. I know there are time zones, but go to sleep, please. God damn it. I know I shouldn't even be saying anything. I'm a fucking insomniac. Now this page looks pretty legit, right? Record and live stream with NextZ Game Recorder. I mean, it looks like your standard web page, right? I want you to take a good mental note of this image here with the Fortnite and the dude sitting over there. These amazing, totally legit reviews such great FPS, no lag at all, best game recorder software ever. This is my favorite game recorder. Like they have a top 10 list, like they have a tier list of game recorders, right? Just use Shadowplay. So on a cursory Google glance real quick, I get led to this website called fbx.gg. Now I hope you've kept that mental note in check, because as you notice, the Fortnite screenshot is the same, the dude sitting there is the same reviews are there. In fact, if I can just be very matter of fact with you, if I just go back to the Twitter post, the exact reviewers are the fucking same. Everything is the same. Everything is literally just the exact same. So again, for the untrained eye, you might be like, wow, this is a game recorder. I'm getting paid by Blueberry Software 2019? How? Well, goddamn. Maybe it's completely legit. And you know what? It could be. But in order to do that, we actually have to research it and figure it out for ourselves. So, you know what? I'm going to cut to the analysis phase. I'm going to show you the very weird setup that I have to just, not really that weird, but the outlandish setup I have to actually sit and analyze if this is really malicious or it's just a game recorder. So you guys and gals just witnessed future Muda, huh? This is past Muda, you know, the one that actually sat down and analyzed this malware. So ladies and gentlemen, what you're actually witnessing over here, and I'm sorry for the whole like Linus Tech Tips guerrilla style videography a little bit, you know, this is kind of like a tech video, better than screen recording, I had to really show you the method to the madness, and I'll guide you through it all. Now, to the left, you've actually got a virtualized computer. I'm running a game called Control, and as you're witnessing, it's running full max settings, 1080p, and it literally looks like it wouldn't be on a virtual machine, but it is. See, what I've kind of got over here, in order to test this, I'm running it in a complete virtualized environment. This is the actual computer. So what I've got over here is Arch Linux, which is a very lightweight variant of Linux. A lot of people have this aura of superiority because they installed this or something. I'm not doing this for the superiority of it, it's just very lightweight. Now, what I've got going on over here is a HTOP, which basically allows me to gather what's going on this process right here, the CPU on its own, temperature checks, virtual machine, just a general analysis of CPU usage, host CPU usage, and all that stuff. NeoFetch, because I kind of like having the logo on the screen, and that's kind of it. But what I've got running on this is a bunch of probes. Now, what do I mean by probes? See, what I'm doing right now is called anti-evasiveness, okay? You remember back when we covered Sonic Gather Battle and there was an entire malware that basically would not run if you ran it under things like VMware or whatever? See, the reality of it is a lot of malware has anti-VM code in it. It's not hard to do. All you really have to do is just check the PC name or just check a couple flags. At this point, most operating systems just scream to the heavens that they're being virtualized. So if you're a virus software, injecting anti-VM code is not necessarily difficult, but there are ways to go around it. See, when you have anti-VM code, in the case of Sonic Gather Battle, it just doesn't run. But if you decide to run these kind of virtual machines like I've done, where effectively I've created a system that has spoofed God knows how much, okay? Like at the end of the day, all right, it does not give away that it's on a virtual machine, right? It's passing on all the CPU topology from here, the entire GPU. NVIDIA won't even believe that it's virtualized. So if I'm beating NVIDIA, I'm beating any kind of malware, small-time stuff out there. So far and so forth, everything I'm passing to it basically appears as something that would be on a real computer. All your drivers, all your peripherals, everything. Okay, so this has no idea that it's running under Arch Linux. For all it's concerned, Windows is running on the box itself, all right? But it doesn't know that this exists. And all I'm doing here is I got a fresh Windows install, which means nothing is running but that stupid malware. Control the game, all right, which has no bearing in it. I'm just trying to run it in a controlled environment, if you will. God, that was terrible. And Windows 10 and its general network call. So this is a very, very naked virtual machine. And so what I've done is I've probed this. So I've launched little programs in here that don't trip up any flags. And the entire idea is they're passing on data to this. So I'm gathering things like network analysis. So I'm trying to figure out what it's sending and what it's receiving and what programs are doing what. I'm running a memory analysis tool to just figure out, what it's communicating to, how it's launching certain processes, how many processes it's actually launching. So if I run this, I'll be able to see what it's calling up, what it's doing. And not only that, but I'm going out of my way to check what it's doing to the drive. So is it scanning for passwords in my web browser history or something like that? Is it trying to look through files that I have on my computer? And last but not least, again, going back to the network, I'm trying to see how big of information it sends in one go. So if it sends back like video files, which it probably won't, or picture files, I'll be able to roughly gauge what it's sending to an extent. So there's a lot of tests going on, and there's a lot of probing, there's a lot of nonsense in that category. So what I'm gonna do now is, now that all of that is being probed, now that that's running, I'm gonna sit back, I'm gonna play Control for, an hour or two or something, because this game is actually pretty sweet. I'm gonna log into dummy email accounts, I'm gonna log into dummy YouTube, whatever you wanna call accounts, whatever social media accounts I have, things like Facebook, things, whatever. I'm not gonna use my own stuff, obviously. And if my theory is right, it'll probably try to steal saved passwords that I'll deliberately save on Firefox, Internet Explorer, Edge, Chrome, Opera, whatever browsers exist out there. I want to see if this is gonna steal from me. This malware has no idea it's being virtualized, so it has the complete reins to do whatever it wants. And I'm gonna figure out what it's doing exactly on my computer. So I'm gonna go back to playing this game, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back later tonight to tell you what I found. Now, in my findings, all right, let me just start off with a lot of tells, right? Immediately, the launcher itself looks really weird, all lowercase letters, kind of just looks like a generic little program. In my case, my sample size was about 0.5 MB, which, I mean, if you're a game recorder, I expect you to be just, a little larger than 0.5 MB. And not only that, but the actual FBX recording software that we just looked at before the analysis was like 60 megs anyways. So there's a pretty big discrepancy in what you're getting. Obviously, it's a malware. What is a big dead giveaway was when I tried running it, it actually registered in Windows Defender as an active piece of malware. In fact, throwing it into VirusTotal will tell you, yeah, it's a pretty bad piece of malware. Now, in the most part, one of the weirdest things that I've seen was that, yeah, I couldn't record. We couldn't even get it to do anything. But the probes that I had set up in the virtual machine were actually able to dig up something that was a little alarming, at least. Now, this program basically triggered something called svchost.exe. Now, on a surface level, svchost.exe isn't a big deal. It's just service host, which is a pretty generic process in Windows anyways. But that's the big deal. See, what happens is most malwares will often use service host as a way to mask what they really are. See, if you just pass off a service host, host, the process ID that you'll look at is just SVC host. So for most people, they'll look at that and say, it's just Windows being Windows. But you have to be careful. See, what I noticed this version of SVC host doing was pinging out and sending data to an IP address. So I was able to dig down the IP address and giving it a little whois information. It actually led me to something called Shinjiru Technology SDN-BHD. All right, now of course, giving a cursory Google glance of what Shinjiru actually is, it's apparently leading me to a web hosting service in Malaysia. Now, this doesn't mean much, this doesn't damn this company in particular, but what it does do is it tells me that this is where this data is heading to. So why is a software that originally is coming out of the UK, right? I mean, if we're basing it off of FBX, why is a game recording software, in any case, pinging something in Malaysia? That's the biggest question that I had. And there's also another big deal as well, too. There was also another security researcher as well on this, too, called, if I can find him, NodePoint, who actually used something called app.any.run, which is kind of like a sandbox. So if you don't want to do what I just did, you can run it like this and just sort of have all the tools pretty much available for you. I think if you pay like 85 bucks a year, you get access to like pretty much everything. But what he did was he ran it in a Windows 7 32-bit environment. And here he's got the Nexi launcher right here. And what freaks me out over here too is it actually led him to SVC host as well. Now, interestingly enough, when you went to his connections tab, svhost.exe, svc svhost, it's actually a little different, I guess, depending on what Windows you're using. Some will have it, some won't. Yeah, so because it's Windows 7, it's svhost. If it was Windows 8, 8.1, or Windows 10, he'd be on svc host. But as you can see, here's an address. He's got 111.90.150.191, which is leading to the Shinjiru Technology SDN BHD on port 80. Right there, you can very easily tell that this shouldn't be sending a weird ping to that address to begin with. In fact, what this also does is it gives you a pretty cool idea of what could be considered bad traffic, and it all leads back to svhost. Svhost is pinging Trojan boundaries. It's pinging, like, it's basically reaching an address that it really shouldn't be reading. It's going out of bounds for what the svhost process should basically do. So what does this really tell you? Well, it tells you this much. In this case, what I did for my programs was I signed into like some dummy email accounts, right, on Gmail, Outlook, whatever you want to call it. And this process was actually ripping email addresses that I had saved into my browser in some weird capacity. And most likely, if it's sending anything, it's sending that through the data packets it's sending out and pinging through the SV host. So effectively, what's going on is you download this tool, it runs this malicious version of SVC host that even if you were to look at through, a Process ID Explorer, you wouldn't exactly figure out right off the bat what's going on. But by the time it's already done and over with, it's already exfiltrated the data out and your accounts are compromised. So that's kind of the shit you're looking at. It's not necessarily recording data and sending it off. If it did that, it would be a dead giveaway. You could just look up the amount of size of packets being sent and call it a day. It's not even sending screenshots as far as I know. But whatever it's doing, it's calling home to some address in Malaysia, which again, I'm just going to be outright here with you. That's some weird stuff. That is not normal behavior. So yeah, you know what? There is a piece of software out there. If you're a small-time YouTuber and you're getting an advertisement or you're getting a sponsorship deal, be careful, because if it's anything like this, you may be setting yourself up for a pretty bad time. But ladies and gentlemen, that was the Nexi game launcher. Hoo-hoo-hoo! Was it weird? Indeed, let me tell you. But you know what? We sat down, we investigated, we probed, we did what we did, and we found out ultimately that yes, it is in fact not cash money. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it, I am out.